You've probably heard the expression that all power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. It is attributed to a Lord Somebody from England. The British have had a long history of power and corruption, and so a good opportunity to study both, and it was inevitable that one of them would tie the two together in a neat, contemplative bow. I wouldn't disagree with the statement. When a person becomes powerful, it's natural that they start doing what they think is right. If they become more powerful, less restrained, they do whatever they want, whether they think it's right or not. In their power, they no longer care so much for right or wrong. Those are debatable distinctions, and those in power tire of debate. Debate is for weaklings. Might makes right, another tidy formulation. I want to go in an opposite direction today and consider not power, but powerlessness. What is the effect of that on the human spirit? I think more and more people are living in that condition. They are powerless. They have lost all control in their lives. What has this done to them? The economy is bad. It doesn't take any stretch of the imagination to say you could lose your job. That's probably the start of the tailspin. Losing your job is intensely painful, as well as fear-inducing. You not only lose the income connected to your work, it's worse than that. It also cuts deeply into your identity, your self-worth, self-respect, whatever scraps of self-confidence you may still have. Any money you have saved steadily dwindles, both in amount and value. Let's say you have to give up your car. You can't afford to own it or to operate it. In this society, that's a huge loss. You lose mobility, the reliable transportation you really need to get a job, run errands, and you are also severed from the sense of freedom that an automobile bestows. Without a car, you're constricted. Your world shrinks. Many people would give up their home before they would part with their car. Let's say you lose both, your car and your home. You can't make the payments on either. It happens faster than you thought it would. Well, truthfully, you never thought it would happen, not to you. But now it has, and you're homeless. You might be able to find a place to stay the night, but you don't have a home, which also means that you have lost the connection with your family. You're alone now, isolated. As you can see, there is a lot to lose, and it can go quickly. Leaving you where exactly? What's left? An old expression is that less is more, but I think in this case, less is definitely less. When you lose all those other things, you lose your sense of self. That vaporizes. You become the nothing that you've become. You've become powerless. You've become pointless. A president of this country used to speak hopefully about 1,000 points of light, his metaphor for people acting independently and voluntarily to help others and so to benefit the nation. If you reach pointlessness, you're living in darkness. It is a form of blindness. Your other senses atrophy too, and you become, effectively, senseless. Nothing affects you anymore, possibly hunger, cold. Back in the 20th century, that century of great and terrible global warfare, the philosophers who made the biggest impact in trying to explain or define the human condition were the existentialists. Many of them came from France, which is understandable. France was a chit and a killing field in many of the wars. The existentialists, summarizing their message inelegantly and probably somewhat incorrectly, saw that the one thing we can know is that we exist. After that, all is speculative. We might say that we know the reason we exist or the purpose in life, any thoughts about a God. All of these are fine and dandy, but they are all man-made and make-believe. Believing in them as if they were real might be useful in our attempts to survive, but they are not real, in the sense that we are real and the world is real. As one of them titled one of his books, there is being and, after that, nothingness. One of these existentialists was Albert Camus. Among his many writings was a short text on an allegorical figure who exemplified existential man, and that was Sisyphus. Sisyphus had this rock, and every day he would roll this huge rock up a hill until it would unbalance and roll back down. Sisyphus was tied to this rock, this endeavor. That was his life, and if possible, he found a way to rejoice in his activity. It was intended to be his torture, but, in Camus' mind, he transcended that. He was a hero, overcoming nihilism. He found happiness with his rock. Albert Camus, author of The Stranger, The Fall, and The Plague, was considered a dire prophet. He now seems a besotted romantic. Our more modern individual has lost his rock. He has been separated from his rock, and now he has no rock. It's a new, more sophisticated form of torture. He used to wake up in the morning, shower, have a little something to eat, brush his teeth, and go hit the rock. Now the rock is gone. His being has been whittled down to nothingness. He now has truly no reason for being. He's completely pointless. He's not happy. He's not sad. If he feels anything, it might be a very dim regret, a longing. He might miss his rock, that good old rock, that rock and roll. It might have been absurd, but it gave him something to do, something to focus on. It gave him a point. Now, my question is, the government would offer help to people who are down on their luck, have lost their job, were looking for work, even the homeless. But what kind of assistance can you offer to the pointless? It is possible that we could find them a rock, or are they too far gone, even for that? Pointlessness, beyond hope, past despair, empty. I remember a poem called The Hollow Men. They would be the ones who don't even have their rock. What's left for them?